All right. We are going to be talking all about brand building tonight. And I think that this is such a super important and relevant topic as I begin coaching people who are newer in the business. There's always one commonality that I would say 95% of the time comes up, and that is the lack of having a personal brand. So it is so important. And it is why most people do not get traction whenever they start promoting a new company or product, because no one really knows who you are, because you don't have a brand, like you haven't established yourself. And so anyone can build a brand. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone starts at zero. I started at zero, and just like everyone else, I made my social media accounts and no one knew me. So just because you don't have a following or a brand right now doesn't mean that you cannot build one. I have taught thousands of people to build their brand. And I think that you're going to find the information that we talk about tonight very helpful, because again, without having some kind of a brand, whether it's an online brand or an in-person brand, you're going to have a very hard time like actually selling something, okay, as a business owner. Let me know in the comments if you feel that you have a brand on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being no brand at all to 10 being like, yes, I got this. Like I have my personal brand on lock. Let me know where you feel that you fall on the spectrum. Okay, I've got 0, I got 3, I got 3, I got 8. I got 8. Awesome. Okay, so we have a little bit of variation from beginners to some seasoned people, but I think this is going to be helpful for you, and as you're bringing on team members too, and because we're always building our brand, we're always expanding our networks and continuing to grow our brands. And as we grow and evolve as people, our brands are going to grow and evolve, as mine has over the last 17 and a half years as I've been building on the internet. Okay, so I have some slides for you, and I actually did these over the summer, and I let me see if I can turn this down slightly because it's a little, there we go, a little intense. There we go. Okay, I need to have some lighting. And I forgot about them until today. I was looking around and I was like, oh, I forgot that I made these. So you're gonna get to be the first people to see the sneak peek of this. Is like a course that's in progress. All right. And so I feel like it's gonna be good enough for you tonight to get going. So let's go with screen share, and then where are we at here? Okay. Present. Okay, Melissa, give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Are we good here? Okay. So as I'm doing this, I won't be able to see the comments, so I'll have to check the comments afterwards. Okay. So if you don't know, one thing about me is that I love the TV show Friends. Okay. And I had built my last course all around the TV show Friends. And so I was calling this course the one where you build your brand. Okay. How to build your brand on social media, even if you aren't an expert. And I think that's the biggest hang up that people have, is sometimes they'll feel like, well, I'm not an expert, so I can't build a brand, whereas everyone can build a brand. Okay. So you are going to build your brand by using your personality. Okay. Everyone's personality is going to be different. Your passions, the things that light you up, that get you excited. Let me know in the comments what some of your passions are. Like for me, it's health and wellness, it's beauty, it's business. Those are like the 3 things that I'm like really the most passionate about. Helping people make money, sharing your opinions. That's something that tends to scare people a lot, is sharing their opinions on social media, because when you have an opinion, not everyone's always going to agree with that opinion. And I need you to know that that is okay. But if you don't kind of, just, what's the word I'm looking for? Put your foot down, or like put your flag in the sand, or whatever, if you will, with your values and what's important to you, no one's ever going to respect you, because what's going to happen is if you share an opinion, yeah, sure, there's going to be people who disagree with you. There might be people who unfollow. That's okay. But you are going to end up building a community of like-minded people who are drawn to your energy and attracted to that. So what I'm saying is you don't need to appeal to everyone. And the most important part of all of building a brand is just by sharing your life experiences. And for me personally, having been building online for many, many years, that's really how I began building my brand. I began building my brand just by sharing my life story. I first made a MySpace account before I even had a business. Then I started my business and I began using it a little bit. But I really leaned into it in probably 2008. 2008 was when I started really leveraging Facebook for business, just by sharing my life experiences. And then a couple of years later, my son had a medical diagnosis and we began sharing our diet online. And I literally took photos of what we were eating on paper plates because we were making switches from processed foods to real food. This was when I had my big like awakening and understanding that the chemicals and the foods were making us sick. And so I took people on that journey and people began sending other people to follow me because I was sharing my life experiences. I was sharing what I was passionate about, which was health and wellness and helping my child at the time with his, his health struggles, and sharing my opinions about things as I was learning about this new information. And that sounds very like basic. And it was very, very basic. When I look back on some of that, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that's actually how I began building my brand, was taking pictures of my food on a paper plate. It was polarizing. Like some of the things that I was sharing at the time was very polarizing. I was one of the first people on social media to begin speaking out about the dangers of vaccinations and how they impact your child. So I was speaking out about it many, many years before it became something that was common knowledge, or that was like commonly spoken about as, today in 2024. So just by using your life experiences, what you're going through, the things you're passionate about, and your opinions about things, that's how you are going to begin building your brand on social media. Now, I don't know what's coming on the next slide, so you just have to roll with me. So when you begin building your brand, your entire goal of this is to develop know, like, and trust. And when you develop know, like, and trust, that is when you actually develop influence. That is when someone is going to listen to what you have to say. For example, today, my husband, my family, and I, actually all four of us, we went to see Russell Brand at a local church up here. It was about this time last night. We're sitting on the couch. My husband gets a text from a friend with a screenshot of like the image saying like he's going to be at this church. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Where's this church at? I look it up. It's 15 minutes from here. And I was like, let's go see Russell Brand at this church. We've been looking for a church anyhow. But my point of all of this is that because he has influence, he has a message that he's sharing with other people, and he's using that influence that he created with his because he's a celebrity, like people like him, people trust him because they've been following him, to bring people to God and to share his message and his testimony with other people. So ultimately, that's a whole point of building your brand, is so people know you, because they can't buy from you if they don't know you. And they're not going to buy from you if they don't like you. Typically, okay? Most of the time, someone is not going to buy from you if they don't like you as a person. And they have to trust your opinions, and they have to trust your experiences. And that's why it's always so important to be authentic and to be yourself, and also to be very, very honest with people. I've always really made it a priority to be honest and authentic in my content. And I get so many compliments because of that. And because I am open and honest, people trust me. And so they trust the recommendations that I make. Like, I'm never going to lie to someone just to sell them something. Like, I get people reaching out to me about the business all of the time. And like, I had a girl that sent me this long email the other day asking all of these questions. And I answered them honestly, and then she didn't say anything. So I waited a day and I messaged back and I said, I hope that was helpful. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. I definitely didn't want to just say what you wanted to hear, because I don't want to set people up for unrealistic expectations. Like she wanted to like do some things that I knew like would not help her grow a business. And so I was just really honest about the, when she asked me the questions. Okay. So know, like, and trust is going to help you develop influence. But what I need you to understand through this process is that it takes time and it takes consistency and showing up, consistency. Not, you don't necessarily have to show up every single day, okay, every hour, every minute. But if you have a rhythm of showing up consistently on social media, people are going to trust you a lot more than people who pop in and then they pop out and then you don't see them for 6 months or you don't see them for weeks at a time and things like that. And I know a lot of people that do that. Okay, so that is going to help you establish trust as well. Is that helpful? All of that helpful so far? So let me take a sip. More like a gulp. Okay. So what I need you to understand is that your social media channel is like a TV series. And I always love to use Friends because it's universal. Most people have watched it. Let me know in the comments how much you love Friends. I know some people don't like it. I don't understand if you don't like Friends. Like I always tell people, if you don't like Friends, we can't be friends. Like I really genuinely do not understand it because I grew up with this show. This show was like, it was just our generation. It was like that generation. I remember when it came on in 1994, I was in the 9th grade. Okay. Yeah. I was a freshman in high school. And then the last episode went off. I was 23 years old. And my daughter was 6 months old. And I still remember watching the last episode, crying my eyes out in the back bedroom at my grandfather's house because I was living with my grandfather at the time and he didn't want to watch it. So I had to watch it in my bedroom in the back. So I have so many core memories that revolve around Friends. And so what I need you to understand is like, we are the friends of this generation. People don't watch TV traditionally like they used to, in the 80s and the 90s and maybe even early 2000s. Like, let me know because I know we have a variety of ages here, like what decade you grew up in. I grew up on 80s and 90s sitcoms. Like that was my thing. I grew up on 80s and 90s sitcoms. My whole life like revolved around like what time a TV show came on. And if you missed it, you missed it. You had to wait until the repeat played like over the summer because you weren't going to catch it again. Like this was like before DVR even existed. So people don't consume content the same way that they used to. So like we're the friends of this generation. So instead of gathering around the TV at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Thursday night, people are on their phone, they're scrolling, and they have certain people that they're dialed into that they really care about what's going on in their life. And that's like the series that they're watching. So think about your Instagram. When you log onto your Instagram, how many of you see the same people at the top in the bubbles over and over? It's usually like the same 10 or 20 people, right? Like it's always the same people for me. Like if I open it up and I see a different face, I'm like, oh, who is that? Like, oh, like I'm not used to seeing her up there. It's almost always the same people. So your social media is entertainment and you're much like your favorite TV shows that you grew up with, except now you are starring in your own series and you're creating this series for your followers to consume. Is all of this helpful? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if this is helpful at all. Okay, so you need to understand that people will tune in for 3 reasons. Number 1 is to learn something. If you have educational content, people are gonna want to watch to learn. Maybe you're doing a makeup tutorial, maybe you're doing a hair tutorial, maybe you're teaching someone how to cook, maybe you're teaching someone how to make a cappuccino latte. People love to consume content that teaches them something. I know a girl who her whole family, they built a house. They bought this house. It was basically a foundation. It was a slab. I think it was like taken out by like a tornado or something. And the mom was in an abusive relationship and she had to get out, but she didn't have a lot of money. They learned how to build a house with YouTube videos, and they built that house with YouTube videos that people put up on YouTube, educational content. Okay. And then she had a whole, like a book and a tour, and it was like a whole thing. And this is a girl that I know. So people love to watch content where they can learn something. If you're anything like me, I don't actually read fiction books. I couldn't tell you the last time I read a fiction book. I always read books because I want to learn something. That's just how I am. Like I'm like, what can I learn from this book or this audiobook or this podcast? People also like to be inspired. So if you're doing something that's aspirational or inspirational, drop in the comments for me someone that you like, drop in the comments for me someone that you follow because they teach something like and you learn something from them. And then drop in the comments for me someone that you follow because they inspire you. Whatever they've achieved or whatever they're working on, it inspires you to do more, to be more, to believe in yourself, to have a bigger vision for your life. And then the third reason that people are going to tune in is to be entertained. Okay. And entertainment can come in all forms. Okay. It's, you know, we might think of it as comedy, but entertainment is it's a wide gamut. It's a wide spectrum of being entertained. Okay. You could share something that's funny, or you could share something that's serious and it could be entertaining. Okay. So that's really the three reasons that people are going to tune in: to learn something, to be inspired, or to be entertained. So when you're creating content, you have to ask yourself, what category does this fall in? Like, am I teaching something? Is this like helpful? Am I inspiring people? Is it a reel with a quote or something that's going to move people emotionally? Am I sharing my story of like where I started to where I'm at now or where I'm going and I'm inspiring people? Or is this just funny? Is this just entertaining? And entertainment too, like when we think about the series, it's not all comedy. It's like the storyline. You're taking people through a storyline and the storyline just happens to be your life. And right now you're in season, 2024. It's like the 2024 season, those real recaps is like the 2024 season is coming to a close. So wherever you're at in your life right now, that's the season that you're in and you're taking people along through that storyline. So ask yourself, what is your series about? Is it an educational series? And if it is, what are you teaching? Are you, teaching people how to cook? Are you teaching people how to do their hair? Are you helping people with their health? Are you helping people with their fitness? Are you teaching people about aromatherapy? Are you teaching people makeup? Is it a news series? And like I follow so many social media accounts that do like news series, like they're giving updates on things like politics. I follow a lot of political commentators, a lot of political influencers, conservative influencers, because if you haven't noticed, I'm a conservative. So politics, sports, reality TV. There's whole TikTok accounts that are dedicated to following The Bachelor and these other reality TV series or books or movies where people are like giving breakdowns of the series or their insights or spoilers or those sort of things. Is it world events? Does it have to do with your industry? Like we're in network marketing. Like, am I giving updates on, the MLM world? And that's what typically people who are social selling experts will do as they begin seeing shifts in the market and what's happening. Like we're having so many shifts happen within our industry right now. There's so many companies that have gone affiliate because they're struggling financially. And as a result, things are shifting in our industry. So if you're doing a news series, ask like, what are you giving updates on? And then maybe it's a documentary, like I said, like the story of your life. Like, what is the story that you're telling? What's the journey that you're taking people on? And it doesn't have to be a long journey necessarily. It could be a 4-day trip. My husband, 2 weeks ago, he drove a moving truck with all of our things from our house in Colorado in the middle of a blizzard all the way to South Florida. And let me tell you, it was a journey. And I say it was short, but it was long to him. Okay. It was long to him. And thankfully, I didn't have to go with him. I got to get on an airplane and fly back. But he had an unreal amount of followers watching on his Instagram stories. He normally probably has like 300 or 400 people watching his stories a day. It was like in the thousands of people that were following this journey. And he had these 2 snake plants in the front seat that he was responsible for getting back to me safely, because I had 2 plants that were left at that house and I wanted them here. And people were following this story about the plants in the front seat because he kept like referring to the plants as his like co-pilot because I wasn't there with him. He got stuck. He went down the wrong road and like got lost in the ice and the snow. And like, it was a kind of a crazy trip. There was flat tires. Anyhow, he took people along on that journey and people became invested in it. And everyone that we've seen in person in the last 2 weeks has said something to us about it. So that's how you know that people are watching. Or is it a comedy? What type of comedy? So just ask yourself, what is your series about? What is it that you are sharing with people? Is all of this helpful? Hey, Jason, could you bring me some water, please? Okay. So I like to talk about main character energy. You want to have main character energy. And the reason you want to have main character energy is because the main character doesn't have to sell you anything. You want what she has or what he has. And in this case, our main character is the beloved Rachel Green. Everyone loved Rachel Green except for Brad Pitt with the I Hate Rachel Green club. And then there's that whole story in real life as well. But actually I think they're friends in real life. But Rachel was like the ultimate influencer. Like I remember watching the show, and how many of you had the Rachel Green haircut? I had the Rachel Green haircut. It was not as cute on me as it was on her. I didn't know how to use a styling tool, a hair product, anything like that at the time, but I wanted to dress like her. I wanted to have my hair cut like her. I wanted to be like her. I was rooting for Ross and Rachel, like the whole thing. She didn't have to tell me anything. She didn't have to say, buy this thing. Hey, I'm selling this thing, because she sold herself. And that's what I need you to understand about building your brand, is that no one is going to buy anything from you until you sell yourself, because you are the product. That's what people are buying. They are buying you. And once they buy you, they will buy, oh, thank you, honey. They will buy anything that you sell. But you have to sell yourself first. Whereas Janice would be like the annoying, like Avon lady that like keeps coming around and like bugging you. And then who is this other guy, Gunther? He's just in the background. He's like a non-player character, right? Like in the background, like no one even notices him. He just blends in. Rachel, he was in love with Rachel and she never even noticed him. So you have like the annoying person, and then you have the person that like no one even notices because they don't stand out at all. So you want to embody main character energy, and that means showing up confidently as who you are and not being intimidated and worried about what other people are going to think of it, and not trying to be someone else, not watching other people's content and saying, I need to be more like Brooke, or I need to be more like Kimberly, or I need to be more like Jessica, or whoever else that you're following, that you're comparing yourself to, because we're all guilty of it. It's about being yourself and being authentically you. All right, what do we have next? Okay, so let's talk about developing your character and what it really means. So your character is comprised of several different categories. Your personality, right? Whatever your personality is, I encourage you to play that up for social media. Like play it up for social media, because when you think about a TV show, like they're acting in a role. And so like I feel like when I'm on social media, I'm acting in a role. I'm acting in the role of my life, but sometimes I'll play it up a little bit. Like Jason and I will play up like our banter and our back and forth stuff, because people love seeing our relationship. That's one of the reasons that people follow us. Like they're really invested in our relationship. We've been married for, oh my gosh, it'll be 23 years in April. January's 25 years together, which seems kind of crazy because I know we don't look that old, but we're getting up there. So your personality, play up those things. The things that you think that aren't important, like if you're introverted, play that up. Play it up. If you're extroverted, play it up. Whatever it is, play up your personality. Sharing your opinions. I talked about this a little bit before. Share your opinions. Don't be afraid of backlash. When you start getting backlash and you start developing haters, that's when you know you've hit the gold mine. Like that's when you've hit the jackpot. My husband is so good at stirring the pot, let me tell you, and then playing dumb like he doesn't know what he just did. Like he's really good at sharing his opinions and getting people like all riled up, because then you know what happens? Everyone's commenting on his stuff. And then what's that doing? That's boosting his stuff up in the engagement. Now, Jason and I are really big over on Facebook. Like we use Facebook a lot more than Instagram. With Instagram, I'm a little bit more cautious about what I put there. It's more my business card, is more curated. Whereas with Facebook, I kind of treat it like Twitter. Like if I have a thought about something, like I post it up, and I'll do those little short punchy posts on the little color background. You know what I'm talking about. that's where you're going to want to share your opinions about things. If you can do it short and sweet, that usually gets the most engagement. But don't be afraid to share your opinions. And I'm not saying you need to be controversial. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that when you share your opinions, it means you stand for something, okay? No matter what the opinions are about. And then your passions, like what are you passionate about? Tell me in the comments, what are the things that you are passionate about? Some of us have, like social causes that are important to us, or maybe there's a charity that's important to us. I try to think about some of my different influencer friends. Like one of them is a foster parent, and she's really passionate about teaching other people how they can become a foster parent. And she also really leans into encouraging them to foster teenagers, because she fosters teens, and she actually has adopted, I think now 2 or 3 of the teens that she was fostering. So think about the things that you're passionate about. They don't necessarily have to be related back to your business. Like mine, the health and beauty stuff does relate back to my business. And that's why pharmacy fits so well into what I do, because I am passionate about health and beauty. But all of your passions don't have to be connected back to your business. Another thing I'm really passionate about is teaching women how to make their own money. I told you I'm married. I've been married for a really long time. I have a great relationship with my husband. Is it perfect? No, not at all. But we have a great relationship. I am not in a situation where I need to leave or anything like that, but I grew up in an abusive household, and I watched my mom have to stay with abusive men because she did not have the money to leave. She didn't have the money, the resources, she didn't have the education. This was in the 80s. And I still remember being a child and begging my mom to leave, and her answer to me was always about why we couldn't leave was because she didn't have money. I still remember Monday night being my favorite night of the week because my stepfather would be out of town. Like I would be just so happy because he was awful. He was a terrible human being. And so I am passionate about teaching other women to make their own money, because you never know when something could happen. Even if you are in a really great, loving relationship, you never know when something could happen to your spouse. And speaking of, it's a generational thing for me, and I'm just going to share a little bit so you know a little bit about who I am and where I came from. But my grandmother, I don't think I said anything about this yet, but my grandfather passed away a few days ago, and I've like kept his whole situation with his health quiet because my family didn't really want me putting stuff on social media. But he was in a nursing home all year, and then it's been a really challenging time for both my mom and my grandmother, because my mom had to become my grandmother's caretaker like overnight because my Nana has dementia. But I always worried about what was going to happen to my Nana when my grandfather passed away, because he always took care of everything. Like it was very old school with the finances and everything. And she was like the original, like Martha Stewart. Like Martha Stewart was like her idol. She looked up to. She wanted to be a homemaker, take care of the home, raise children, be in the kitchen, decorate the house, all of those things. And then compounded on top of, dementia and her other health challenges, I became really scared about what was going to happen to her if something happened to him before her, because she didn't have the means to be able to take care of herself. And so it's just something that's a passion thing for me, is to help other women know how to make their own money, because you never know when something could change. You never know when someone could need to leave a situation, or they're going through a divorce. And even for me, even though I have a great relationship, if something were to ever happen to my husband, God forbid, I feel confident in knowing that I have the skills to take care of myself, and that I could keep food on the table and I could keep a roof over my head without the help of a man. And that's not to say anything negative about men at all. I just want to know that I can take care of myself. So that's something that I'm passionate about. So I'm sharing this with you because I want you to think about what you are passionate about, and start sharing those things that you're passionate about with people, and you will be surprised at how many people will connect with you over the things that you are passionate about. Okay. And your values, like what do you stand for? What are your values? I never talked politics on social media prior to COVID, and I respect everyone's political opinions, but I never shared anything because of that. And because I always felt like, you know what, it doesn't matter what someone believes if they believe differently than me, because their money is green too, right? And we don't have to agree on everything to be friends and to do business together. But something happened in 2020, and I don't have to tell you what it was because you lived through it. And that was when I began speaking up and sharing my values and what I care about, and what I think my core value was about freedom, which relates back to what I was just telling you about being trapped in a situation. And so when I began feeling like my freedoms were infringed on, that's when I began speaking up, and I began sharing my values, and sharing what was important to me. So don't shy away from sharing your values, no matter what they may be. We're all going to have different values, and that's okay. But I think it's important to share your values with other people. I will tell you, my husband is in real estate. He's been building his business here locally for 18 months after having an exclusively, like mostly online brand for the last, I don't know how long. And he's really brought the family into it. The open houses that he has, that either myself or our son is at, with him, people are always much more receptive to him because they see his values as a family man, and because he is consistently sharing on social media about his family, about how much he loves his wife, his kids, those sort of things. He's sharing those values. So he carries those like traditional family values, and he shares those with people, and people are able to connect with that. And then another part of your character development is sharing the obstacles that you're going through, the challenges that you're going through with your followers. You guys, social media, I know it looks like it's a highlight reel, but one of the main reasons I've had the success that I've had is because I've been open with people about the challenges that I've been through. It doesn't mean that I share every nitty-gritty detail. It doesn't mean that I'm airing my dirty laundry, or every time my husband and I have an argument that I'm posting it online. That's not what I mean. And I think that some people kind of get that mixed up in their mind, and they think like, I don't want to open up and share things. But when you share the challenges that you go through, what happens is you become relatable as a human being. And when you become relatable as a human being, and you create a bond with the people who are following you, and they respect you, and they will continue to follow you throughout the journey. And the chances are they're going to support you. So I just had an order earlier tonight. I got the email that we had an order, and it was like a $250 order or something. It was like a big order. The commission was $128 on it. I was like, yes, I love that 50% commission. And the person that ordered was someone that has been following us for years and years and years. Someone that used to be one of my husband's personal training clients when he had a boot camp back in Montgomery, Alabama, before we left Alabama many, many, many years ago. And we left there in 2011. So that person has been following us for a really long time. So they know about our personality. They know who we are. They know our quirks. They know the opinions that we have. They know what's important to us. And they know the challenges that we've been through because we've shared those things with people. Okay. Is all of this helpful for you? The reason I'm really diving into this night and sharing this with you is because many of you that are starting brand new, I see you out there trying, and you're pushing the products, and you're doing what you think you need to be doing to sell, but no one is going to buy from you until they know who you are. Many of you that I'm watching, I'm like, I can't tell anything about you from your social media other than you just signed up with pharmacy and you like the products. And the products are great, and I want you to promote the products. I'm not telling you not to promote the products. So what I'm saying is you have to add this in. You have to build your brand. You have to deliver value to people. You have to make people care. You have to take people on that journey of who you are and where you're going. Is all this helpful? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a heart. I can't see any faces, so I don't know. The themes in your content. Okay, so I love doing collages. So it's like, what are the themes in your content? This is who you are. So for me, it's like 90s nostalgia. People know, like, I love boy bands. Did you guys see that I went to see 98 Degrees last week? Like, I used to be a groupie, and I followed their tours. Okay, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees. Like, I lived through like such a nostalgic era. Like, it was good times. It was really, really, really good times. People follow my marriage and my relationship with my husband. I'm in Florida. We're building this brand here in Florida because my husband is building a real estate empire down here. So people, when they think of us, they think of South Florida and the palm trees and the sunshine. Business is a big theme in my content because I love business and I love helping people make money. Beauty is a theme. I'm a girl's girl. Like people know that. Like as our team begins growing and we start having events and things, like we're going to be able to start creating content together. And you'll really, if you follow me for a while, you know this about me. I love to empower women. My life over 40, what it's like being in perimenopause. How many of you see me post about perimenopause? Oh my God. Seriously, it's the worst. It really is the worst. I've had the hardest year trying to balance my hormones. Let me just tell you. My conservative values, a healthy lifestyle, all of these things. This is who I am as a person. The themes in your content are going to be who you are as a person. So I want you to start thinking about these things and begin integrating them into your content. Rachel. Okay, so I used Rachel as an example. I told you I don't know what's coming on the next slide, so I'm just like rolling with it. The themes in Rachel's content: fashion. Hello, she loved fashion. She worked for Ralph Lauren. She had her dream job there. Coffee. Remember when she worked in the coffee house? And then even when she didn't work in the coffee house, where was like 80% of the show was filmed at Central Perk. She was always looking for love, dating, like the whole thing with her and Ross, attempting to make it on her own. Rachel was this coddled, kind of spoiled brat when she first came on to the show. And we got to watch her evolution as she grew up and she became a woman and she became empowered and she stopped relying on daddy's money and stopped using his credit card and got a real job and, finally found love and all of those things. So those were the themes that we saw in Rachel's content. And she was funny. Like, I don't know, you can tell me what you thought about Rachel or who your favorite character was, but I thought Rachel was one of my favorites. It's so hard to decide because it was just a great ensemble cast, and of course, Matthew Perry was like the comic genius in the show, I believe. So then also I want you to think about who are your supporting characters in your storyline, in your show that you are producing. Is it your pets? How many of you watched my stories this morning and you saw my cat doing yoga with my husband? He always gets on the floor and he stretches in the morning. He has that like foam roller thing and the cat jumps right on his back and she wants to just like chill on his back while he's stretching. I don't know what it is, but anyhow, so I bring her into the content. I have a dog. Sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. Is it your spouse? You bring your spouse in as a supporting character. Is it your children? People ask me a lot about whether or not, to show their kids on social media, and that's a personal decision. Some people do not feel comfortable having their kids on their social media, and that's okay. I respect that. I have a friend that does she actually just joined the team. She puts a heart emoji over her kids' faces. She has 2 older children who are public, they're adults, and then she has 2 babies because she's crazy. She's my age and she started over having children, and she just covers their faces with little hearts because she doesn't want them to be on the internet. I have another friend, Ellie, that I remember I was telling her, I was like, I don't even think I know your daughter's names. And she's like, that's because I don't ever post them. So she doesn't like actually share all the information about her kids. So it's going to be up to you. When my kids were little, they were much more willing to be in our content. We were doing like food and health coaching at the time. And so they would do food prep and make smoothies and things. And they enjoyed it because this was before mom and dad weren't cool anymore. And now they're older. They're 17 and 21. So they show up here and there. Like my daughter was on my stories today. But they're not like a huge part of our social media because they choose not to be. Like it's going to be a personal decision, and you have to respect your kids' wishes too. I don't agree with like forcing your kids to be on social media to make money if it's not something that they want to be doing. Maybe you have a friend that shows up as a recurring character in your stories. Maybe it's Judy from your office. Maybe, it's your coworker. Maybe it's the barista you see daily. People see my Nana. So it's not all the time because she's in Alabama, but you'll see her probably tomorrow, sometime this week. You're going to see her show up in my stories, and I'm going to post about my Nana because I love my Nana. She's a recurring character in my story, the storyline of my life. So ask yourself, like, who are you bringing into these stories that are supporting characters that play into your storyline that you can share and take people on the journey? Is all of this helpful? Is all of this like, you're like wrapping your mind around all of this? So my favorite way to build a brand, this is my most favorite way to build a brand because this is how I did it, is to take people on a journey by sharing your personal experience. Maybe you're going on a weight loss journey, okay? Maybe you're going on a hair growth journey. Maybe you're going on a business growth journey. That's what I'm sharing right now. I'm being real honest about my growth and what's happening as I'm building this new business. As I started completely over, I left behind a business that was producing $1 million plus a month in sales because it was declining, it wasn't growing, and I didn't feel good about it anymore. It wasn't lighting me up, and it was becoming just something that didn't bring me joy. Okay, did not spark joy for me anymore. You know the term burnout? Burnout happens when you're forcing yourself to do something you don't want to be doing. When you love something, it doesn't feel like burnout. Okay. Like I love doing this kind of training because this is something I love. Like I'm never going to feel burned out teaching people to build a brand. Okay. So you're taking people on a journey. I'm sharing all the behind the scenes. I'm sharing the wins, but I'm also sharing the vulnerability about how I'm hard on myself. And even though I've done really exceptionally well, I want to be further along because that's just how I am. That's just how I'm wired. I'm an Enneagram 8. I'm an overachiever. I want it and I want it now, and I'm not patient. Like, and also my ego. I have to keep my ego in check because, like I said, I left this really big business. I was used to being at the top, and I'm starting back at the bottom, and my ego does not like that at all. And so I've been open and vulnerable about how I felt going through that process because I don't believe in giving people unrealistic expectations. I think that when we only show the highlight reel, it paints unrealistic expectations. So that's the journey that I'm taking people on right now. Maybe you have a fitness journey, maybe you're on a spiritual journey, or a religious journey, whatever you're connecting with. Maybe you're on that journey and you're sharing that with people. I've been sharing more about my faith lately. I never really did a lot before, but here recently in the last year or so, I've found myself being called back to Christianity, being called back to God, back to like my traditional roots. I never left it fully, but I kind of, sometimes we get a little lost on the journey and we're like out there like this. And so I've been sharing more about that on my social media, like you saw today, like me talking about being in church and listening to Russell Brand. Maybe you're taking people on a health journey. I've done that. How many of you are following along for my Lyme journey? And I went to the hospital in Mexico and I had Lyme, and then we found out I have mold in my house, and it was a whole thing. I was really sick for about 3 years, like really, really, really sick. And so I've been taking people on my health journey for years because my health is always a work in progress. Maybe you are taking your followers on a homeschool journey because you decided to pull your kids out of school and homeschool. I saw that one of our uplines, Jimena, actually did that this past week. She picked her kid up from school for the last day and said, we're homeschooling. And so I guess we're going to get to see behind the scenes of that if you speak Spanish, because Jimena's content is all in Spanish. The only reason I knew is because the caption translated. Maybe you have a special needs child and you're taking people on that journey. One of our team members, Julia Ehrman, she has 2 special needs children, and she has taken people on this journey and has been really raw and vulnerable about what it feels like to have 2 children that she knows are never going to grow up and get married. Her kids are actually like, they're going to die. Like they're going to pass away. Probably like I think they've already lived longer than they were supposed to. So she talks about how it feels every day, like going in the room, like wondering, it's like, is my child even going to be alive? Like something that all of us on this call could never even begin to imagine what that feels like. She started sharing her journey on TikTok, and she got picked up for a feature in People magazine a few months ago. People magazine, just by sharing her journey of being a special needs mom. And she shares about how like the morning of knowing like she's never going to get to experience, just like them getting married and having kids, and like she's grieving in advance for the things that she's never going to get to experience, of just having like a normal parenting experience. Maybe it's not something as serious. Maybe you're just learning how to garden and you're taking people on that journey. You guys, I'm not very good at doing makeup. Okay. Makeup is not my strong suit. Sometimes I look at my makeup and I'm like, oh God, it's not, whatever. It's not very good. But I'm taking people on the journey of learning how to use the makeup, and I'm sharing with people every time that I do it that I'm not an expert. I even say I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, because I want people to feel like they can do it too. You don't have to be an expert to share products that you like with people. You don't have to be a professional makeup artist, even though it's nice to learn from those people, to share these things with people on social media and take people on a journey and get paid and make money in the process. Maybe you're caring for your elderly parents. I followed some TikTok accounts where they're caring for their elderly parents that have Alzheimer's. I wish my mom would do that, but she won't. That's what she's basically, doing my Nana right now. Maybe it's an addiction recovery. Maybe it's your dating journey. I follow a lot of my friends that are in their 40s and they're trying to date and they're trying to meet people. And one of my girlfriends, she got a job at Home Depot so she could try to meet men. Seriously, she got a job at Home Depot. So it's all about taking people on the journey of your life. So ask yourself, like, what's the journey that I'm going on right now? And if you're not going on any kind of journey, I know that sounds kind of like cheesy, like journey, but then maybe you need to ask yourself, what area of my life do I need to improve? Because we should always be striving to learn and to grow and to get better as a person. And honest to God, that is how I built my brand. I decided I was going to learn and grow and get better as a person. And I took people on that journey, and I continue to take people on that journey every single day. And it inspires people. People relate to me. People like me. People trust me. And as a result, I have made millions of dollars, over $5 million, probably more than that, doing social selling on social media, and the connections and the networking that has happened and the opportunities that have come to both myself and my husband as a result of just putting ourselves out there on social media. Yes, it can be scary. Yes, you have to be a little bit vulnerable. Yes, people are going to attack you. Yes, people are going to have opinions. Yes, you're going to have family members that don't understand, and you're going to have to explain to them, listen, I'm building a business on social media. I know you don't understand it. I know you don't understand why I'm sharing things, but this is what I'm doing to make money. And my opinion on all of it is that if someone is not paying your bills, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, if they're not paying my bills, or they're not where I want to be, they're not an expert in the area that I want to be an expert at, or they haven't achieved what I want to achieve, I'm never going to listen to them. So if you're taking financial advice from your Uncle Bob, who says that MLM is a scam and he's broke, you're not very smart. Why would you be listening to Uncle Bob? Bob has no idea what he's talking about, but Uncle Bob's a mechanic. You know what? When your car breaks down, by all means, take your car to Uncle Bob and let him fix it up, but don't go to him for financial advice. Okay. Like, that's one thing that you have to understand, is that you cannot listen to people that are not where you want to be. And that's why you have to be mindful in who you choose as your mentors, and don't take advice from people that aren't going in the direction that you want to be going in. I think this is the last slide. So I want to point this out to you. So we talked this whole time about the TV show and how we get invested in the TV show, and like our whole brand is this TV show that we're sharing value with people and we're connecting with people and they're on this journey with us, right? And then we're there's a cliffhanger. Oh my gosh, the cliffhanger. What's going to happen? It's like when I resigned from Mon8, and there was a cliffhanger there was a cliffhanger for a day until I announced that I was going to pharmacy, and then like the next season started, right? But what happens whenever you just have commercials? No one wants to watch a commercial. You log onto YouTube. What's the first thing you do? You try to fast forward past that ad. When you had DVR, you would fast forward past the ads. When the ads would come on, back when we used to watch TV the old school way, that was when we went to the bathroom. That was when we got up to get a drink refill or get popcorn or snacks or whatever, do whatever else it was that we needed to do. We did all of that during the commercial break. And so some of you are just a nonstop commercial and there's no TV show, and you would never log on in any universe to watch that. So you have to remember to provide value and to sell people on yourself before you try to sell them something. Okay. All right. We are going to stop our screen share. I'm going to check the chat roll and see, was that helpful? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, I'm like, everyone's zoned out. All right, does anyone have any questions? I'm looking at the chat roll. Anyone have any questions, comments, anything you want to ask? Add, comments? I've been hearing myself talk for the last 50 minutes, so I'd like to hear someone else. Mark wants to say something and his eyebrows are talking. Mark says I have 6 cats: Luna, Glimmer, Whisper, Rocket, Atari, Momo, and a dog, Squeaky. Do you know that people like legitimately make like millions of dollars from their pets as influencers? Like it's insane. You absolutely need to be incorporating your animals into your content because you're gonna get people that love animals. Listen, we have a dog. I love my dog, but I'm a cat person. Okay, that's what you should know about me. I am a cat person because I'm much more like a cat. I'm more particular about who I want to allow into my space. Whereas dogs just like, oh my God, like it's like my husband's like a dog, like, oh my God, I love everyone. I'm so social, I want to see everyone. Whereas I'm like, I don't know. let me check the vibe of the energy first. Mark, did you have a question, a comment? Melissa does. Okay. And you guys feel free to like take, screenshots of it. You can post to your stories. Let people know that this is the kind of training that they have access to when they join your team. I want to help you build your brand so you can be successful. Just know it is going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. Hi, Melissa.
Hi. So question. So I've been trying to go live every day with something. It's usually about the products. And if I'm being honest, I am probably trying to sell the products more than I'm trying to sell myself. So should it be like a combination of doing lives about the products, doing lives about my day, doing like just a small, quick, brief posting, like with the colorful thing? Should it be like a whole combination of all of that?
Question. You're friends with me on Facebook, right?
Yes.
Do you watch my content?
Yes.
Emulate what I'm doing.
Okay.
Like, tell me, I know you just heard my whole spiel, but from watching me on social media, what do you know about me?
I know that you can build a business quickly and that you help a lot of people. I know that you have a very fun marriage. I did watch you through that whole Lyme situation. I watched you for years before I jumped into this. And it goes back to I think the know, like, trust and jumping in. So I feel confident in myself doing this as I have you as an upline. So I am watching a lot of things. I'm also watching a lot of Rob and what he's doing too.
So you're doing great with your live videos. First of all, congratulations. You guys give it up for Melissa. I see her live all the time. The consistency, like the work ethic is what's going to get you there for sure. I just need to know more about who you are as a person. Like, I just don't know anything about your life. Like, what's going on in your life? Like, do you have pets? Do you have kids? Do you have a job? Like, is there a challenge you're dealing with right now? Do you have hobbies or, like what's going on with Melissa? Who is Melissa?
Okay. That is my homework assignment. You will get to know me. Okay.
Yeah, because I see you doing the videos, but I'm like, but I just don't know who she is. Like, I just don't know anything about her. So that's going to be, yeah, that's what you have to work on because it's not an issue with showing up. You're doing great with that. That's one of the biggest challenges for people is just getting them to like actually show up. So the fact that you're willing to show up is huge. And if you want to mix in some videos where you're just sharing an update about something personal, I think that that's good as well. It doesn't always need to be about business, but when you're consistent with sharing, like what did I share today? Let me just go back to my page real quick. Let's see. I know I shared Okay, so this morning I shared, or 6 hours ago, I shared the photo of Russell Brand on stage. That was a really cool experience, by the way, because I was like just feet away from him. It was a small
Yeah,
room.
that would be so.
I got a lot of engagement on that post, which I really wasn't expecting. And then when you have good engagement, that's when it's like, okay, now let's go live. So I went live. Didn't have a ton of live viewers, but I already have 471 on the replay. And one of the girls popped in that was a lead. She popped in on the video and she's the one that ordered. So sometimes just showing up reminds people like, oh yeah, I need to go ahead and get my order in, or I should go ahead and join. So I posted that, and then I mean, it's always something different every day, but you're learning about, like, my husband sells real estate, and
Mhm.
oh, here's an unboxing. And then I made a funny post about my magnifying mirror. Oh my God, that was awful. And that got a lot of engagement too, because apparently people can relate.
Yes.
So I was like, my face is horrible. Let me, I am returning this mirror immediately. But yeah, just start following those guidelines, and then we'll do some more trainings to dive deeper into strategy and like how to post, because I can't cover all of that in one
Mhm.
training. It's a lot.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully that helps.
Yes, it does. Thanks.
You're so welcome. Was that helpful for everyone else too? Does anyone else have a comment or a question? Mark had a question, I think, or Nicole has a question.
Hi. Sorry about that. Can you hear
Hi.
me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. I have my headset on. Quick question. Like, so what you posted yesterday, this has always been my question. It was about pharmacy, and it was just it it was like three different pictures of the brand, of the products of the brand. And I took snapshots of them, and I was going to ask you, and I forgot if I can like post those as well.
You mean like corporate
You weren't
graphics?
in the picture.
What are
Yeah,
we
yeah,
talking?
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't use corporate graphics. I very, very
Yeah,
rarely use a corporate graphic. Are you talking about something from corporate?
yeah, I thought so. Let me see. Let me pull up my pictures really quick because I took a snapshot. So free shipping. And then the next one was free NutriPlus Delish coffee. And the next one
Okay.
was free True Azure gift shop. Okay.
So how I would utilize those is in stories. So I wouldn't just post the graphic. I would do a talking head, and if you don't know what a talking head is, it's when you just literally talk into the camera. I forget, not everyone always understands the insider lingo. So I would just talk to the camera and say, okay, so if you haven't ordered yet, but you've been thinking about it, let me tell you, now is the time to do it, because not only are you going to get free shipping, but you're also going to get this free fragrance set that's valued at da 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 if you get your order in today. And then I would do the video, and then I would add the photo into the video, or I would put it on the next screen so they could read the information.
Got it.
But like in Facebook or Instagram feed, don't post graphics like that, because you know what, that's gonna be put way down in the feed. Like Instagram and Facebook isn't even gonna push it out, and if someone sees it, they're just gonna scroll right past it. They have to hear from you,
Okay. So when
Nicole.
you
They
say,
have to know why they have to know like why you're selling this and what it is and why it's important and who is Nicole, and all of the things that I just said to Melissa.
okay, in the stories, right?
Yeah, yeah, for stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Most of your selling is not going to go down on your feed. Um, not typically. There are a couple of instances where you might sell like in a reel or on your Facebook feed, but for the most part, most of your selling is going to happen in your stories, because the people that are watching your stories are the most invested. Like they're like your super fans. If you look at who watches your stories every day, it's 9 times out of 10, it's like the same people.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, there's a couple of ways that you can sell in the feed. Like Facebook, I did a post that I just said I finally found something that helps me sleep through the night. I got a ton of leads for the restore on that. And that was just one of those little posts like this, like with the background like that. And then the other way would be through an Instagram reel, but it requires automation. And I don't think anyone here is really seasoned enough for me to like get into that tonight. But we can talk about that on another training. I would just focus on really developing your brand and allowing people to get to know you first. That would be the first thing. And Mark, I've called on you 3 times. Did you have a question or did I answer it already? It was about how often to post, or did you have another question?
Yeah, just more how much to post. Like, is it good to post a lot, or should you try to hold, just a little bit here and there each day? And
It just really depends. Some days I might go a day where I don't post at all because I was busy or nothing inspired me. And
Right.
then I might have a day where I post 3 times in a day.
Okay.
But I try to have a consistency of posting most every day.
Yeah,
That
because I just didn't want to
you're not
like,
gonna go long without seeing me in your feed.
yeah,
I need to get better about Instagram, like honestly, with my feed on Instagram, but on Facebook, it's so much more. Facebook is easier. Like, let's just be honest. Facebook is way easier.
it is.
At
I,
least
I
for
actually just went through my Instagram a little bit while we were talking when after you said use your Instagram more for like business. So I tried to go back and kind of delete some of my photos that are a little back in my younger days.
It's okay. Like honestly, I use my Instagram as a combination of people. I want people to know who I am, but my content that I put on there tends to be more geared towards business stuff. Like whereas Facebook, I can just post anything up real quick. It doesn't have
Right.
to be aesthetic. It doesn't have to fit into the feed. Whereas like Instagram needs to be like a little bit more niche.
Yeah.
Like you need to have like a
Yeah.
topic that you're focused on
Hmm.
Instagram. Yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
thank you so much.
you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Consistency is so important. You guys, I hope that this was helpful. I got to run because I have to pack. We're leaving at like 6 a.m. in the morning. So send prayers for safe travels. But I really hope that this training was helpful for you. And I hope you'll pass it along to your leads that they have access to training like this so they can learn how to build their brand and market themselves on social media. Black Friday week is coming up, so you guys get ready. There's going to be some really great promos, and it's going to be a really great opportunity for you to follow up with people and get them plugged in. All right, you guys have a good night. I'll see you soon.